Welcome the rare gems. Some women don't grow cold, they grow clear. And that clarity, it costs them company but gives them power. Solitude is not the absence of love, but its preparation. Paulo Coelho. There's a reason some women grow sharper, stronger, and harder to reach the longer they stay single. They're not lost. They're not waiting for the right one. They're building, growing, outgrowing. That woman is the Sigma female, the one who never needed a crowd to feel seen and never needed a relationship to feel whole. You see, being single doesn't make her lonely. It makes her dangerous in the best way possible. While most are busy chasing attention, she's busy mastering herself. She doesn't settle because her peace is priceless. She doesn't entertain nonsense because her time is sacred. And she doesn't date just to feel wanted. She dates when she finds someone who can match her depth and pace. To all Sigma females out there, don't let anyone rush your journey. Don't let anyone shame your solitude. You're not behind. You're just living on a different frequency. The longer you walk alone, the more you evolve. The more you evolve, the harder it is for the world to label you, and that's exactly the point. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand out. And the longer you're single, the more unstoppable you become. Let's get started, the rare gems. Number 1. The more she refuses to become someone's rehab project. The Sigma female has learned, sometimes the hard way, that not everyone wants healing. Some people just want company in their chaos. And she's no longer volunteering to be the emotional nurse for anyone unwilling to do the work. She's not heartless. She cares deeply. She'll listen. She'll show up. She'll support you. But not if it means carrying your pain while you make no effort to grow. She's done confusing self-sacrifice with love. Done bleeding for people who keep picking their own wounds. She's not here to fix broken people who refuse to heal. Yes, everyone has a past. Everyone has pain, but she's looking for someone who's at least trying. Someone who's self-aware enough to own their baggage, not just dump it on her doorstep and expect her to unpack it. She's not judging anyone's story, but she's protecting her own. See, she used to think love meant saving someone. Now she knows. If you keep trying to save someone who refuses to swim, you'll both drown. And she's not going down like that. Not anymore. She has dreams. She has peace. She has a future to build. And she's not putting it all on hold to drag someone toward healing they don't even want. It's not her job to fix people. It's not her mission to raise someone's emotional intelligence. And it's definitely not her responsibility to love someone into becoming a better person. That's their job. She'll walk beside you, but she won't carry you. That's her new standard. And if that makes her cold or hard, so be it. She'd rather be alone than stuck in a cycle of emotional labor that leads nowhere. Because the longer she's single, the more she realizes she's not here to be someone's rehab. She's here to build something real. And that starts with two whole people, not one trying to fix the other. Number 2. The more masculine energy she develops, and not everyone can handle it. The longer a Sigma female stands on her own, the more she taps into something most women are discouraged from owning. Masculine energy. Not because she wants to be one of the guys, but because she's had no choice. She builds. She protects. She leads. She handles things herself. Not out of pride, but out of necessity. There was no one to carry her, so she became the one who carries herself, and with that, she naturally developed traits the world once told her were too much for a woman. Ambition, discipline, logic, directness, emotional restraint. She's not out here chasing attention or waiting for a rescue. She's designing her own life and protecting her own peace. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That kind of woman intimidates the wrong kind of man. Weak men don't know what to do with her. They're used to being needed. They like their ego stroked. They need to feel like the hero. But a Sigma female, she doesn't need a hero. She is the hero. That doesn't mean she's cold or impossible to love. It just means that love must arrive mature. A man must come with confidence, not control. Support, not insecurity. He has to know his worth, not build it by breaking her down, because she doesn't play small to make anyone feel big. She's soft when she chooses to be, not when someone demands it. She knows how to receive, but only when she's respected. She still values love, but not if it requires her to shrink, dim, or forget who she's become. This masculine energy isn't about dominance, it's about balance. She holds both, the power to lead, and the wisdom to love. But only someone truly secure will see that, and not run from it. Number 3. She treats potential partners as disruptions first. The Sigma female doesn't get swept up by butterflies and big promises anymore. Before anything else, before attraction, before compatibility, before even thinking about love, she asks herself one question: will this person disrupt my peace? That's her starting point. She's not wired to automatically assume that a relationship will complete her. That mindset, she left it behind a long time ago. Now, love isn't some magical upgrade. It's a possible disturbance, and she's not letting anyone in unless they pass the test. She doesn't get starry-eyed at the first sign of interest. In fact, she becomes more alert. She watches more closely, because she knows anyone can look good for a while. But does this person bring chaos, insecurity, distraction? She used to fall for potential. Now she checks for patterns. She knows what peace costs. She worked hard for it, fought for it, bled for it. So no, she's not risking it for someone who talks smooth but lives sloppy. She doesn't care how attractive they are or how much attention they give. If they feel like a storm in disguise, she's out. Love to her is not automatically a gain. It could very well be a loss of clarity, of focus, of time. So she treats it cautiously. If someone enhances her life, great. But if they pull her away from her path, her purpose, or her self-worth, that's a price she's not willing to pay. She's not afraid of being alone. She's afraid of being drained. So while most people are asking, could this be something special? She's asking, could this be the thing that unravels everything I've built? And that's the difference. She doesn't date to feel alive. She already feels alive. She doesn't seek completion. She is complete. Anyone wanting a place in her life better bring calm, not chaos, because at this point, she doesn't chase love. She filters it. Number 4. She reaches a point where love must compete with freedom. Once upon a time, love was the goal, the dream, the thing she was told would make everything finally feel complete. But now she knows better. Now she's tasted something even more addictive: freedom. Not the kind of freedom that comes from being single just to avoid pain, but the deep, soul-nourishing kind that comes from being in charge of your own life. Her time is hers. Her space is hers. Her energy, carefully guarded. She wakes up in peace, sleeps without overthinking, and doesn't answer to chaos dressed up as connection. So when love shows up, it has competition now, serious competition. Because here's the truth. Love is no longer the automatic yes, it's a maybe and a we'll see. Why? Because her freedom is rich, her solitude is fulfilling, her focus is locked in, and if a relationship is going to pull her away from that, it better be something undeniably exceptional. We're not talking butterflies and chemistry. That's not enough anymore. She's done trading her peace for passion that burns out. She's done sacrificing her goals just to feel wanted. That chapter is over. Now a partner has to match her, not distract her, not dim her light, not compete with her purpose. They have to bring real depth, clarity, and value, or they're simply not worth the trade. It's not that she's closed off. She's just wide awake. She knows that some connections cost more than they're worth, and she refuses to pay with her freedom. So unless love can walk beside her without slowing her down, she's walking alone, happily. Because love, to her, is no longer the destination. It's the rare bonus that shows up only when it complements the life she's already built. And if it doesn't, she won't hesitate. She'll choose freedom every time. Number 5. She refines her instincts like a predator. When a Sigma female spends time alone, something powerful starts happening. Her emotional fog clears, the noise fades, the confusion disappears, and in that silence, her instincts sharpen. Not just sharpen, but cut deep. She no longer second-guesses that weird gut feeling. She no longer explains away red flags or gives benefit of the doubt to people who clearly don't deserve it. Her clarity becomes razor-sharp, like a blade sheathed behind calm eyes. She doesn't just listen to what people say. She watches how they say it, the hesitation in their voice, the flicker in their expression, the gap between their words and their actions. And while most people get distracted by charm, she's already picked up on the inconsistency. She sees what's behind the mask. It's not that she's cold, it's that she's precise. She's learned to cut through fake smiles, hollow compliments, and fake good vibes that are just emotional manipulation in disguise. Her solitude didn't just make her stronger. It made her dangerous, to liars, to manipulators, to anyone trying to play her. And here's the twist. She doesn't need to react. She doesn't need to prove anything. She simply observes, calculates, decides. And once she sees the truth, she doesn't explain herself. She moves differently. Her instincts aren't emotional. They're strategic. She doesn't jump to conclusions. She watches a pattern form, and once she sees it clearly, it's game over. People think they're playing her. But really, they're walking into a trap she never even set. She's just that good at seeing through people. And by the time they realize she's already 3 steps ahead, she's gone. She's not looking to hunt, but she refuses to be prey. She reads people like open books, and if the story's full of games, she closes it and moves on. Because at this level, she doesn't just survive, she senses. Number 6. The more dangerously self-aware she becomes, there's a different kind of power that comes from knowing yourself, not on the surface, but at the core. And the longer a Sigma female stays single, the more she dives into that uncomfortable, life-changing work, self-awareness. She starts asking the hard questions. Why did I react that way? What am I avoiding? Who hurt me that I still carry in my silence? She doesn't numb the pain. She studies it. She doesn't run from her flaws. She stares them down until they lose their power. And what happens when a woman gets that honest with herself? She becomes unshakable. Because now, people can't manipulate her by poking at her insecurities. She's already faced them. They can't guilt-trip her. She's not driven by approval anymore. They can't weaponize her past. She's already made peace with it. She becomes unpredictable to anyone who depended on her pain to keep her small. That's what makes her dangerous. Not because she's harmful, but because she's free. She's done playing out the same storylines just to keep the peace. She doesn't tolerate emotionally lazy connections, and she doesn't explain her standards to people who aren't even honest with themselves. See, most people live on autopilot. They're ruled by their triggers and don't even know it. But she's rewiring herself, consciously, slowly, intentionally. She knows her emotional landscape so well that nothing slips by her unnoticed. If she gets attached too fast, she asks why. If she starts overgiving, she pulls herself back. She's not looking for someone to complete her. She's completing herself. And that's what makes her powerful in a way most people will never understand. You can't mess with a woman who knows her darkness, owns her light, and has nothing left to prove. She's not just healed. She's aware. And that kind of awareness, that's lethal in a world built on control. Number 7. The more she makes solitude seductive. Most people avoid being alone because they mistake it for loneliness. But the Sigma female? She leans into it. Not out of fear, but out of power. She doesn't just tolerate solitude. She romanticizes it. Her alone time isn't empty. It's sacred. She lights candles not for an audience, but for herself. She plays music that speaks to her soul, cooks meals like rituals, and moves through her home like it's a sanctuary, because it is. This isn't isolation. This is art. Her space becomes so peaceful, so intentional, that chaos can't survive in it. Her energy becomes so refined that shallow people feel it and quietly remove themselves. Her aura acts like a built-in filter. It repels the fake, the loud, the insecure. She stops craving company that drains her. She stops explaining why she doesn't want to just hang out. If someone's presence doesn't elevate her world, she won't make room for them in it. She doesn't need constant distraction or noise or background validation. She's learned how to enjoy her own presence. Deeply, her thoughts entertain her. Her plans excite her. Her silence grounds her. And here's the thing. This kind of woman intimidates, because if you can't match the peace she's created, you won't even make it through the door. She's not interested in anyone who sees her solitude as a void to fill. She's looking for someone who respects it, even joins her in it, without trying to change it. People call her too comfortable being alone, like it's a problem. But she knows the truth. Peace is the real flex. Not who you date, not how much attention you get, but how whole you feel when the room is quiet. She's not waiting for love. She's not hiding from it either, but one thing's for sure, She won't trade her temple for temporary company. Number 8. The more she sees love as service, not just sentiment. A Sigma female doesn't fall for butterflies and borrowed words anymore. She's moved past the fantasy of love being all about sweet talk, surprise dates, or empty passion. She's grown out of that. To her, love isn't just about how you feel, it's about how you show up. She wants someone who sees love as service, not servitude, but purpose-driven effort. Someone who understands that true connection isn't just built on chemistry, but on character, on consistency, on showing up when it's hard, not just when it's convenient. She's not interested in performative romance. She doesn't need flowers if there's no respect. She doesn't want big promises if there's no follow-through. Her love language? It's effort, reliability, intentionality, discipline. She wants a man who's doing the inner work, who can manage his emotions, who doesn't get triggered every 5 minutes or ghost when life gets tough. A man who serves something bigger than just his ego, whether that's a purpose, a calling, or a deeply rooted set of values. Because she's done shrinking herself for men who only know how to consume love, not contribute to it. She's not here to fix, babysit, or beg for basics. She wants partnership, not performance. Love, for her, is built in the quiet, daily acts, protecting her peace when she's overwhelmed, being honest when it's uncomfortable, taking responsibility instead of shifting blame. That's service. That's love. And no, she's not cold. She's clear. She understands that feelings fade, moods shift, and sparks dim. But discipline and service? That sustains love when the butterflies fly away. That's what builds something real. So she doesn't chase grand gestures. She watches actions. She listens to patterns. She measures love by how it's lived, not how it's talked about. That's why the longer she's single, the less she's impressed by charm, and the more she craves character. Number 9. The more immune she becomes to manipulation masked as affection. She's not falling for sweet words and soft eyes anymore, not after what she's seen. Experience has made her sharp, not bitter, just wise. She knows now that not every compliment is genuine. Not every "I miss you" is honest, and not every man who calls her beautiful has pure intentions. She's learned the hard way that some people love bomb to disarm you. They show up fast, loud, and overly sweet, not because they care, but because they want control. She knows what breadcrumbing feels like too, that game where they give you just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to feel secure. And that fake vulnerability, the kind that sounds deep but lacks real change? Yeah, she's over that too. She doesn't melt for teary confessions anymore. She waits to see if growth follows the words. This woman has mastered the art of reading energy. She catches tone changes, notices delayed replies, and picks up on shifts in effort. She watches patterns, not promises. She's not paranoid. She's pattern-aware. Her boundaries are no longer just lines, they're walls with motion sensors. And if someone tries to scale them with false affection or guilt tactics, they're out. Quickly, quietly, without warning. She doesn't need to give chances just to prove she's kind. She doesn't need to stay to understand someone who keeps showing her the same story. She understands this. Real love doesn't manipulate. Real love respects. So now, when someone shows up with charm and a fake halo, she doesn't lean in. She leans back, watches, waits, and often walks away. Because she's done mistaking attention for affection or control for care. She's not colder, she's just smarter. And that's the kind of woman who's nearly impossible to fool. Because she no longer listens to what's said, she listens to what's shown. Number 10. The more allergic she becomes to mediocre connections. Let's be real. A Sigma female doesn't just lose interest in shallow people, she outgrows them. What used to be tolerable, small talk, forced smiles, half-baked conversations, now feels like emotional sandpaper. She doesn't have the patience to sit through another surface-level chat with someone who's only interested in looking good, not being real. This isn't about being picky. This is about elevation. The longer she's single, the clearer her radar becomes. She can now spot fakeness in the first 5 minutes. She notices when someone's saying all the right things, but none of it feels grounded. She senses when someone's trying too hard to impress, or worse, trying to manipulate. What other people call decent, she sees as draining. What others accept as normal, she recognizes as emotional junk food. She doesn't hate people. She just doesn't want to water herself down to be understood by the average person. She's been through enough to know what she wants. She wants depth. She wants truth. She wants conversations that feel like soul-to-soul contact, not ego-to-ego performance. She wants to talk about real things, dreams, fears, healing, growth, not just gossip, trends, or who's dating who. So when someone brings her half energy, weak intentions, or shallow vibes, her entire body reacts. She gets restless, bored, uncomfortable. It's like trying to breathe through a paper straw, suffocating. This allergy isn't a flaw. It's a filter. It's her inner compass saying, nope, don't lower your frequency for this. And here's the truth. The more she embraces her solitude, the less she's willing to settle for anything less than soul alignment. Her standards aren't walls. They're boundaries built from experience. And if that makes her intimidating or too much, so be it. She didn't come this far just to play it small. She came to connect, deeply, honestly, and unapologetically. Number 11. The more she values her energy as sacred currency. At some point, the Sigma female stops giving everyone access to her. Not out of ego, but out of survival. She learns the hard way that not everyone deserves her time, her thoughts, or even her presence. Her energy is sacred now. It's not something to be passed around like loose change. She's done over-explaining why she disappears, why she doesn't respond, or why she walks away from chaos without warning. Her peace didn't come easy. It was earned through heartbreak, detachment, and choosing herself when no one else did. So, if you want her time, bring truth, bring substance, bring respect. She no longer entertains people who only show up when they need something. She doesn't get excited over attention that's inconsistent. And she refuses to sit at tables where she has to beg to be heard or shrink to be accepted. She protects her peace like a queen guards her crown, not because she thinks she's better than anyone, but because she finally knows what she brings to the table. She brings clarity, not confusion. She brings presence, not performance. And if someone can't match that, she'd rather eat alone. Her solitude isn't a phase. It's a standard. She doesn't explain it anymore. She doesn't feel guilty about it. She doesn't let people make her feel cold or hard for setting boundaries. She just watches who respects it and who tries to violate it. And here's the thing. The longer she protects her energy, the less she tolerates emotional freeloaders. She can sense when someone's trying to drain her, whether through guilt, drama, or empty flattery. And she cuts that off without a second thought. Why? Because she finally understands her worth. Her energy is not for sale. It's not up for debate. It's earned. And only the real ones will ever get close enough to feel it. In final words, solitude isn't the absence of love. It's the refining fire where real love learns how to reach you. The longer a Sigma female stays single, the more whole she becomes. Not because she's avoiding love, but because she's no longer settling for half of it. She doesn't need a man to complete her. She completes herself. Her single years are not a waiting room. They're a building ground. She's not just learning how to live. She's learning how to thrive without depending on anyone's presence, praise, or permission. This is what makes her powerful, and also misunderstood. People will call her too independent, too guarded, or too much. But here's the truth. Those are just labels used by people who never learned to love someone without trying to control them. And to the Sigma men watching this, you're cut from the same rare cloth. You're not meant for the easy road either. You build in silence. You protect your peace. You refuse to play the loud, attention-hungry games. That's not weakness. It's strength most people don't recognize until it's too late. A Sigma woman doesn't just want attention. She wants alignment. She doesn't need fixing. She needs freedom. She's not waiting for love. She's evolving into it. So if you're a man who's done the work, who's steady in a world that's constantly shifting, and who leads with purpose, not ego, you're not just wanted. You're rare. And she's looking for you. Until then, she's not pressed, because the longer she walks alone, the clearer her path becomes. and the more impossible it is for the wrong person to ever derail her again. She doesn't chase love, she attracts it, by becoming the kind of woman love has to evolve to reach. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.